But the tragedy of this whole thing is that when man became conscious of the good and evil, what he did is that he allowed himself to be duped by Satan. God told him to go out and get knowledge and teach it. Satan told him to go out and get knowledge and teach it. So God bait you with knowledge. Then Satan come around to you, he bait you with knowledge. He said, go out and get the knowledge. But one thing about what Satan baits you with and tells you, he tells you to go get it, but don't do nothing with it until you have mastered it. So now that's a tall order. You going out and you getting all this knowledge, but who is it benefiting? No one. It's not even benefiting you because you're telling yourself, I haven't mastered this yet, so it couldn't be correct.
That's right.
So then now you become what you call part of a secret order. Yeah, you become part of a secret order. Now I'm told us about that secret order. That's where that knowledge is kept. It's kept away from the masses until such time Satan comes to claim it, and all those who are the keepers of it. And you sitting there waiting on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to come and help you. There's no one coming because you're working for the wrong man. When you should have been working for God, you're working for Satan. And that was Satan's job on the earth. That's why he was sent to the earth. He was sent to the earth to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you know is a daggone good. And when someone says, you know damn good. That's what he wanted to prove to Allah, that you know good. No matter what God do for you, no matter what God say to you, you're not going to be responsible. You're going to go through life with blinders on. And God gave you what? Parental vision. But you want to go through life looking at it like Satan, but you're going to look down the tunnel. You're trying to see around the corner, but you can only see straight ahead of you. That's what they put on the horse when they want to race it. They don't want him to be distracted. So they put this covering around his vision so he can only see one way, what's in front of him. So he's headed toward the goal. There you go. Okay. But then what happened? When you got those blinders on, you can't see what God can put on your left side. You can't see what God can put on your right side. And you can't even feel what God can put behind you because whatever you pass, you can't see. So there's nothing to stimulate you or to remind you. So I want to share something with you in reference to secret society. For example, Masons, right? Masons. Got it right here. Now, in terms of the secret society, can you hear me?
Yeah.
In terms of a secret society, you know, during slavery time, you had this man called Prince Hall. Now, he had been observing the Masons for a long time in their raids how the influence that they had in the society. And he had listened to their ideology because their ideology was based in St. John the Baptist. So, Prince, he said, well, look here, he said, I think that I can use the language of the Masons to help do some good for my people. Maybe I can address the slave situation and maybe help them see what they need to see in order to maybe free us in a way in which that we can also be productive like white folk or Caucasians are productive. But if you join a free society of secrecy, mystery, you can't use that knowledge except for within inside of order anybody connected to that order. Because that's what the order of the fraternity is for. So John Hall, he was in Boston, Massachusetts. This was in 1790. There existed in Boston was a small African-American community. And their numbers was growing. And Prince Hall, he wanted to be one of the ones to help the situation in his community. So he approached some soldiers, some British soldiers, to ask them where he could find a Mason, a Freemason's hall or lodge. So he said, there is none. There's no Mason's lodge. And so he said, well, how can I become a Mason to maybe spread it among my people? He said, well, I'll tell you what. Maybe we'll teach you. We'll teach you a few tricks. And so he said, well, so the reason why I'm saying this is because our leading man, Muhammad, this was at the Hyatt Regency. He talked about the secret societies, these orders and stuff that they're out there, but they're doing you and I no good. They're just out there. And if you really want to know the truth, they're working more against you than they do to help you. They only feed their own aspirations. They only feed their own urges. They only feed their own fraternities. So they're doing little or nothing for you. But that's part of Satan's plan, is to delete you from the process. So he said, Prince Hall goes and he wanted to know how he can become a Mason. And what he took with him some companions. They say about 14 of them. And so the British soldiers agreed to talk to them, teach them a few tricks. Now remember that the British were a little different from the Americans during the time of slavery. Because during the British colonies, if you had any inclinations within you to become a Christian, then in their society, in the Christian society, in Britain or London, you could gain your freedom. In other words, they didn't believe that a Christian should enslave a Christian. So there was a glimmer of hope there coming out of that for them and what they saw in that. But going the fast track now is that they introduced Prince Hall to the Freemason Society. And he worked hard trying to be an influence in the outer community, out among their people, as well as among his own folk. But what happened there is that he became an influence in his own community, and then they helped him acquire a lot of things that are pertaining to property. And you know, it's hard to gain property back then during those times. But they helped him to get influence and to gain that. So by 1739, or I should say, 1739, he continued to work, and then he began to attract people, and he began to get money so that he can purchase a lodge. So he did. So he continued to work, but he became so frustrated because after the white Masons had inducted him into the Masonry circle, then they rejected him. See? Okay, in other words, we'll allow you to become something of what we aspirate, but you know, you can't have what we have. You have to get your own. So that's what we said earlier. That's what the Imam said. You have to, if you want to correct our situation, we have to lead ourselves. So, what Prince Hall did is that he worked, he was frustrated, nevertheless, he was able to start him alive and begin to work the crowd among his people. But then, something miraculous happened, and that is this, is that the Grand Lodge of London granted him a charter. So now when he got the charter, what that did, that full-fledged inducted him and his organization into the Mason Lodge, or the Mason Order. Well, remember that they call the Grand Lodge or the Grand Poobah or the Wishful Master, they call him the Wishful Master. He got the key to the storehouse. So the storehouse is a society. In other words, the whole general society. East and West. That's what he controlled. That's why they call him the Wishful Master. See, going back to what Satan told you, don't do nothing with it until you have mastered it. See, that's where it's originating or coming from. Don't do nothing to it until you, don't do nothing with it until you have mastered it. So the Wishful Master, he got the key and he opens up the storehouse. But then he has, in the West, he had what you call the Junior Warden of the West and the Junior Warden of the South. So when he opens up the storehouse, then the Junior Warden in the West, that's his cue to get busy. The Warden in the South, that's his cue to get busy. So, here we go. Where do we bring it all together? How do we extricate ourselves from this? so that we can become more visible in our own situation rather than be more absent from our own situation. And that is, follow God's plan and take what God has given to you and teach it. Because God, in his book, he said that, oh, you who believe. He said God is the what? God is the master